Wildfires racing across Southern California tonight. Freeways shut down, homes burning in Bel Air, and the weather conditions that are fueling the flames.
I see this as a victory in the battle for preserving affordable housing in Penasquitos, but I don't see it as the entire compromise that can be had.
The focal point of San Diego's housing crisis, balancing the need for more housing while protecting low-income residents.
As soon as I stepped on campus, I felt welcome. I felt like this is the place for me.
Campus Pride, the top honor for San Diego State University, where students feel like they belong. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. It's going to be another long night for firefighters as strong Santa Ana winds fuel several major fires. This is the crisis map assembled by Google that shows where the fires are burning. The busy 405 freeway was shut down when the Skirball fire erupted in the Sepulveda Pass. It spread to mansions in the Bel Air neighborhood, destroying several homes. Before CHP was able to get everyone off the road, this is what one woman recorded as she drove, surrounded by flames.
The whole freeway is shut down on the other side, and every one of us is stuck. Oh my God.
Other fires we reported on this week continue to burn. A fire crew from the Bay Area took this photo of the Rye fire burning near Magic Mountain. Fires in Silmar and Ventura County are also major problems tonight and threaten thousands of structures. We're feeling the same Santa Ana winds in San Diego, and it will worsen tonight. KPBS reporter Susan Murphy has a look at what the county is doing to prepare.
The projected extreme fire weather conditions have emergency officials on high alert. Here at the county's Office of Emergency Services, the Operations Center has been activated. So if a major fire breaks out, emergency officials will already be here, working quickly to deploy resources and keep the public safe.
In Ventura, walls of flames driven by 50-mile-an-hour winds roared through neighborhoods in the middle of the night. People had minutes to flee for their lives. San Diego County emergency officials are warning the same could happen here.
These fires can spark anywhere, and what we're seeing is dry conditions with hurricane force winds, and that can impact you whether you live in the country or the middle of the city. So everyone really needs to be prepared in this weather event.
Holly Crawford is director of the county's Office of Emergency Services. She oversees emergency response when disasters strike from a command center in Kearney Mesa. She's urging everyone ahead of the winds to register their mobile phones with the county's mass notification system called Alert San Diego. It will give you directions on where to go and what to do during an emergency.
Know what's happening, know where to go.
She says it's also important to have an evacuation plan and a designated location to meet up with family members.
Know what you're going to take with you when you evacuate. Be prepared so that you have enough materials to be self-sufficient. If you're going to a friend's house or a disaster shelter, you want to have what you need in terms of medications, important papers, activities, items for your pets. You want to have all of that with you.
Should a fire erupt, Crawford says it's essential for people to heed orders from first responders.
If you are asked to evacuate, leave your home immediately. There's a reason that they're asking you to do so.
The county is also taking added steps to prepare, including leasing an additional firefighting helicopter. Crawford says some of the county's other firefighting aircraft could be grounded if winds are too fierce. She says the Type 1 crane helicopter will be on hand through the weekend.
They're more resilient to more severe type of weather.
Crawford and her team have also activated the county's Emergency Operations Center so they can start keeping a close watch.
We're looking at weather conditions. We're listening to fire call-outs on the radio. We're checking in with our partnering agencies like 211 and the Red Cross and Department of Animal Services and the Sheriff's Emergency Planning Detail.
And hoping their plans and preparations won't be needed. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Another windy day here in San Diego County, and the worst is yet to come. Tonight into tomorrow morning, we're expected to see the gustiest of winds that we've seen all week. So right now, of course, we're under a high wind warning all across the county, not right along the coast, but interior areas. We are seeing gusts up to 80 miles per hour in some of the mountains and through the passes, so travel is very difficult. The highest wind gusts we've seen so far, Mount Laguna, 50 miles per hour. And then 4 miles north of Pala, 47 miles per hour. Sill Hill coming in at 44 miles per hour. Certainly some power outages and again, problems on the highways. And the peak gusts today, well, they're going to be increasing as the night progresses. Of course, we're seeing a red flag warning because of this. We're already seeing some devastating wildfires in Los Angeles County, and our conditions are exactly the same, windy and dry. I'll have a full forecast in just a few minutes.
Tonight at UCSD, fire experts are talking about the rise of major wildfires in California. 10 of the 20 most destructive have taken place in the past decade. KPBS reporter Andrew Bowen is there with San Diego's fire chief. Andrew?
Thanks, Ebony. I am here with San Diego Fire Chief Brian Fennessy, who's here for this event at UC San Diego about fire preparedness. Chief Fennessy, can you tell us what your department is doing right now to prepare for the potential of wildfires this week?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I have never had or seen my department as prepared as it is today. We are so concerned with the weather report for tomorrow that any fire engine I have, reserve, full service, is staffed. All of my aircraft are staffed. I've never seen a report. I just got off a conference call with Riverside and the meteorologists, and even those folks are saying this is going to be a record-breaking Santa Ana wind event starting early tomorrow morning. So we're extremely concerned, but we're as prepared as we possibly can be.
So we have those very high Santa Ana winds and very low humidity right now. Are there any parts of San Diego that are at a higher risk for wildfires than other parts?
You know, absolutely. Those that live within the wildland-urban interface, and when I say that's those that live on the edge of our hundreds of miles of linear canyon bottoms and ridge tops. But I'd say everybody should be concerned. You know, when we lost homes in 2003 and 2007, it wasn't just the homes along where the brush is. The embers fly and they can travel blocks, and we lost dozens and dozens of homes that were well away. Our community needs to be absolutely prepared to evacuate no matter where you live. I am extremely concerned about the next day.
And so keeping in mind, you know, some areas are at a higher risk than others, what should people be doing now to prepare for the potential of a wildfire here in San Diego?
I mean, they really do need to be prepared to evacuate when we say it's time. I mean, have anything you believe of value, pictures, computers, hard drives, whatever it may be, loaded near the door, car backed into the driveway. Even if you don't think the potential of you having to evacuate is there, do that tonight. We don't want to see another Santa Rosa. We're telling our firefighters tonight that, you know, forget putting out the fire. Let's rescue people and get people out of the way. That's the level of report that we're seeing. It is going to be unstoppable if we get the fire that we think we might. Our sole mission will be to rescue people and get them out of the way of this fire. The community needs to be ready to go.
San Diego Fire Department Chief Brian Fennessy, thanks so much for speaking with us. Reporting live from the UC San Diego campus, Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Thanks, Andrew. San Diego Gas and Electric could turn off more power in more areas of the county like it did yesterday in Descanso. It's a safety measure during this week's windy and dry weather. Communication manager Allison Torres sat down with KPBS to talk about what they're calling de-energization.
De-energization is a measure that SDG&E takes to make sure the region remains safe. And it's one of our measures we utilize while we're activated in an emergency operations center. So, and that's the case right now with the red flag warning. We have about 3 meteorologists that are constantly looking at weather to provide us with intel so we can operate our system properly. So they've been watching the Santa Ana wind event for the past week or so, letting us know, are the forecasts panning out into what we think they will be? And sure enough, they did. So what we did was we activated our emergency operations center in response to the red flag warning. This is really all about safety. It's about protecting the community. It's about protecting lives. It's about protecting property and making sure that there's no catastrophic fire that affects the region. We've actually de-energized on 17 different occasions, including yesterday, since 2013. But it's not a widespread number. It's only affected about 1,000 customers because a lot of those customers were repeat de-energized circuits since that time frame. So those folks that are living in the Sill Hill area of Descanso often see some of the highest winds, and they're actually expected to see some really, really strong winds starting tonight through Saturday. So we'll continue to be issuing those outbound dialer messages, keeping in contact with those customers, letting them know, this is not over. Winds are still expected to be high, but we're going to be preparing and have crews staged out there so that we can prevent anything from happening. There's never a convenient time for an outage, and we do understand that, and we do appreciate the patience of our customers. But at the end of the day, they know that our main goal is to prevent a catastrophic fire and to protect them and to keep the region safe. So we're hoping that they'll be okay with us doing this to protect the region, because we don't want to see what's happening up in Northern California down here.
We're staying on top of the fire situation on all of our platforms. For the latest information, just go to our website, kpbs.org. We have reports of a magnitude 4.2 earthquake in Julian tonight. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, it hit around 4:30 this afternoon. So far, no reports of damage or injuries. People reported feeling the quake from Escondido down to Chula Vista. After 4 years, the largest Navy corruption scandal in history continues to unfold in San Diego. Federal prosecutors and the U.S. military are taking action against a growing list of officers caught up in the Fat Leonard probe. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh has the story.
Leonard Glenn Francis, or Fat Leonard, was arrested in San Diego in 2013. The Malaysian businessman was believed to have defrauded the government out of $35 million with the help of naval officers in the Pacific, offering bribes and lavish meals as well as prostitutes. Friday, retired Commander Bobby Pitts was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison for funneling information to Francis. 4 years into the federal court case, the military justice system is also beginning to step up prosecutions. Tuesday, Captain John Steinberger, former commander of the San Diego-based Destroyer Squadron 1, faced a court-martial in Norfolk, Virginia, charged with accepting bribes. The Washington Post recently reported that as many as 60 admirals and hundreds of officers remain under investigation in the wide-ranging probe. More than 20 officers have been charged in federal court. Francis pleaded guilty back in 2015. He remains in custody in San Diego pending sentencing. He is believed to be cooperating with prosecutors. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
After years of decline, America's homeless population is increasing. The Department of Housing and Urban Development estimates there are 554,000 people without a home. That's a 1% increase from last year. Nearly 200,000 have no access to nightly shelter. San Diego's most recent estimate is 5,000 homeless. The latest HUD report found a 14% increase in the homeless population on the West Coast. That's largely due to rising rent cost. A proposed development in Rancho Penasquitos has become a focal point in San Diego's housing crisis and the conflict between increasing the housing supply while also protecting low-income residents from losing their homes. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has the story.
That's going to be the apartments there, yeah. So of the 276 apartment homes are going to be located the retail center closest to where our corporate office is.
Kim Arnold is walking me around Penasquitos Village, a large housing subdivision wedged between Black Mountain Park and Interstate 15. Arnold is a regional supervisor with Atlantic and Pacific, the property's owner.
And it's kind of a wraparound style interior courtyards It'll have all the modern amenities.
Arnold is describing Pacific Village, her company's plan for 600 new homes, triplexes, and apartments on the property. The plan has drawn criticism from some neighborhood activists who say the existing homes are some of the few left in the neighborhood that are still affordable to low and moderate income residents. That's because they're older, smaller, and lack modern amenities like dishwashers and air conditioning. Several dozen tenants rely on federal housing vouchers to help pay rent. Arnold says Atlantic and Pacific has heard those concerns.
The Pacific Village project has evolved over time, and we listened to elected officials, and community leaders, and the residents and neighborhood, and started making some changes to the plan that will incorporate two main things. The first is the affordability component.
60 of the apartments are to be set aside for low-income residents with rents they can afford. That's more than twice as many affordable homes as what the original plan provided. The second change A&P made to the project was a relocation package for all the residents. They've hired a consultant to help find new homes for the housing voucher recipients to move into.
Voucher holders are what we are committed 100% of our efforts to in making sure we relocate them to a new home. One of the most exciting things that Atlantic and Pacific has done is we have designated at least half of the voucher holders to go to Atlantic and Pacific properties throughout San Diego.
I see this as a victory in the battle for preserving affordable housing in Penasquitos, but I don't see it as the entire compromise that can be had.
Melinda Vasquez is a Rancho Penasquitos resident who has organized against the Pacific Village project. The Rancho Penasquitos community plan calls for this site to be preserved for low and moderate income housing. Vasquez says even if the new homes are below the median price for San Diego, most will still be unaffordable for the current tenants. She says she accepts A&P is trying to make money.
That's the reason why we have government, to implement regulations, because government is supposed to be in existence for the people, to help make sure that we have a community plan, that we know how we're going to build out, because left to their own devices, developers or people in for-profit businesses will do what is ever in their own best interest.
Vasquez says she doesn't want to see any decrease in her neighborhood's stock of affordable housing. That might be a lofty goal, but funding for affordable housing has been drying up. And San Diego also has an immense shortage of market-rate housing for the middle class. Pacific Village would provide a net increase of 268 homes that currently don't exist. Again, Kim Arnold.
The space is underutilized. In order to be a part of the solution for San Diego, you need to bring more density into these particular projects, project infill development areas. And we think Pacific Village does that and also brings to it both the moderate-priced housing and the affordable housing that is in compliance with both the community and the city's general plan.
Arnold says they've been able to help relocate about half of the housing voucher recipients and won't start construction until all of them have found a new home. Pacific Village gets an initial hearing at the city's planning commission on Thursday. After that, it will go to the city council for a final vote. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
That story is part of our continuing coverage on San Diego's housing crisis. You can find more at kpbs.org/housing. Dangerous winds have been with us all week, but the worst of it is expected to hit overnight and into tomorrow. Here's Aaron Calandra with more on the fire conditions and the forecast.
We're under a high wind warning. If you couldn't tell, it's awfully windy out there. Santa Ana winds in full effect, and we're seeing some gusts up to 60, even 80 miles per hour, causing power outages all over the place, wildfires, and also horrible driving conditions. Talking about gusty winds, Mount Laguna, 50 miles per hour, 4 miles north of Pala, 47 miles per hour, and Sill Hill, 44. Those are the highest gusts we've seen so far in the county, and they're going to continue through tonight. Tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, if you have a little one waiting outside for the school bus stop, it's going to be dangerous. In Poway, wind gusts 54 miles per hour, Alpine 50, even in San Diego, 29 miles per hour. It's not going to look much different for your commute into work. Of course, we're under a red flag warning. Much of Southern California is. We're already seeing wildfires burning to the north of us. We're under the exact same conditions, dry and windy. So taking a look at our satellite, nothing is going on here. It is going to be a quiet night but windy. 51 degrees above average and really above overnight lows across the area. That's because of those Santa Ana winds. So the fire threat, it's going to continue through Thursday, even through Friday and into the weekend. And our highs tomorrow above average. Poway 75, San Diego 73, Mount Laguna 50, and Borrego Springs 71 degrees. Everyone is staying dry and sunny. We're going to be nearly 80 degrees by the weekend along the coast. Inland, we're in the 80s for this weekend. Again, dry and sunny. The mountains in the 50s, very windy on Thursday. The windiest day we've seen so far is going to be tomorrow on Thursday. And then in the deserts, we are in the 70s, reaching 77, even 78 by Monday. So well above average temperatures. Those winds are going to continue. Luckily, tomorrow is going to be the worst of the days, and then they're going to start to calm down. For KPBS News, I'm Erin Calandra.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, reactions from the Middle East as President Trump announces the U.S. will recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Coming up at 7, right after Evening Edition on KPBS.
A wave of Senate Democrats are calling on Senator Al Franken to resign, and now the Minnesota Democrat says he'll make an announcement tomorrow. The added pressure comes after a new claim from a woman who says Franken tried to forcibly kiss her in 2006. If Franken resigns, the Democratic governor of Minnesota would appoint a replacement. A special election would be held next year for the remainder of Franken's Senate term. A new milestone for a movement that has raised women up and taken down powerful men. Time magazine named the Me Too movement as its Person of the Year. Today's cover features Taylor Swift, Isabel Pascal, and others who shared their stories about sexual harassment. Millions of men and women told their stories of sexual misconduct under the Me Too hashtag. The woman behind the hashtag says Me Too could be a conversation starter or the whole conversation.
When you go through something as traumatic as sexual violence, there's a way that you close up. Your protection, the way you protect yourself, it's like you're shrouded in shame. And the disclosure, not just disclosure, but then the subsequent having somebody else connect with you and say, you're not alone in that, it just frees you. It frees you from the shame.
The Time article also highlights women who work hourly jobs, some of whom want to remain anonymous. There's only 2 universities in North America where students can earn a degree in LGBT studies. San Diego State University is one of them. It's one of the reasons the school has gained national recognition for taking an active stance against discrimination and harassment.
Do you go to the audience?
Christopher Lujan is reviewing a video of a student's recent drag queen performance. As San Diego State University's Pride Center coordinator, it's his job to support students.
I needed that support when I was in college, and to be that support here on campus is just an absolute amazing opportunity.
Lujan says the Pride Center is a place where students can advocate for equality for all. But most of all, it's a safe place where they can be themselves.
A place that's inclusive, that's going to recognize your gender identity, your sexual orientation without any hesitation.
The work being done here is one of the reasons bestcollege.com says SDSU has earned a spot on its list of best colleges for LGBTQ students.
If you look at the LGBTQ plus community, marginalization and oppression is something that's quite apparent in that community. So a place for students to be themselves, to feel whole, is important.
SDSU is one of the first schools in the country to offer an LGBT studies major and minor. Each year, the school hosts a lavender graduation, a ceremony open to all students who identify as LGBTQ. Students on campus tell us the spirit of inclusion is palpable.
As soon as I stepped on campus, I felt welcome. I felt like this is the place for me. So I definitely think that San Diego State deserves that title.
Almost everyone I know is a part of some sort of organization that they feel comfortable in, whether it's like Greek life or like music or theater or like LGBT. The school really welcomes like every organization, and so it makes everyone feel like a lot more comfortable like doing what they're like proud of.
From student organizations, trans health support, and 20-plus gender-neutral bathrooms. Dean of Students, Dr. Randy Tim, says inclusion is one of SDSU's founding values and ultimately helps students achieve academically.
Imagine the experience of just going to school. That's enough. just getting to go all the classes, get your midterms, your finals done, but now going through an outing process, whether you're coming out as LGB or you're going through a trans process, all of that adds to the stressors of your life. If we can find ways to decrease that stress and increase your confidence in your academic success, well, then we'll help students succeed, and that's what we want to do.
Dr. Tim and Lujan agree the ranking is a sign the school is on the right track, but they're open to finding ways to make it an even better campus for all. Leaders at SDSU are planning to add even more gender-neutral restrooms on campus. KPBS is closely watching the dangerous weather conditions that have set off wildfires across Southern California. A fire burning along the 405 in LA has burned 500 acres. Several homes have been destroyed. UCLA had to cancel classes this afternoon. This is the latest major fire pushed by the same Santa Ana winds we're feeling in San Diego. Now, here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, it's been a decade since the last major round of military base closings, the civic muscle being used to keep bases open. And on Midday Edition, what it's like to be a female Border Patrol agent and the campaign to recruit more agents. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.